Alan, we have two electric vehicles.
One is the Hyundai 2023 IONIQ5 and the other is the 2023 Genesis GV70 electrified. David, these two cars couldn't look more different if they tried. This one is rather graceful, rather elegant, and not very chunky. This is a bigger car, but also this gets back to the platform we were talking about before and why it is so important that electric cars that are designed from the ground up make better use of space, and we'll see that inside. There's more chunk here, David, more chunk. Not just in the presenters, but in the cars as well. This is using pixels, and there's little pixels all over this car. They're here in the headlights. They're even in the camera. You can just see it through the plastic. There's no reason for that to be there. It's just a design element.
They're both 77.4 kilowatt hours.
The 0.4 that counts. And of course, the bigger the battery, the longer it takes to charge. From a 350 kilowatt charger, these are both capable, and that's what I like. The Hyundai Group and Porsche, as far as I know, are the only ones that can take full advantage of the 350 kilowatt charging. But my charging port is here in the front. David, yours is there at the back. It's got some pixels here that you're meant to be able to press, but as you can see, that's not working. But anyway, if you press and hold this, the port will open. As you can see, we've got the low voltage and high voltage charging.
And the pixel motif.
More pixels, more motif.
Motif.
Motif is probably a cocktail. Now, normally if you've got the key in your pocket and you just stand there, that will actually open up for you automatically. That's quite spacious, but of course the floor, as in most EVs, there's not a lot under it because there's, in the all-wheel drive versions, there's motor in the front and the back. And the door opening, I don't have to get my hands schmutzy from down below.
Oh, you poor dear.
I can just press that. Again, you can see that there's a similar amount of room in this as to the back one. So that's the rear parcel cover that you can take out and put up top. And then if you lift this up further, you can see that there's tyre mobility kits and triangles and all of that sort of stuff. David, they say there's enough room for three in the back of this. Why don't you jump in? I want to demonstrate something to you.
Not three of my proportions.
Well, I don't think three of any proportions. That is very tight, and that front seat is set for where the last passenger was. David is very tight there for space.
Well,
but
it's hitting on there.
that white interior at least makes it feel quite capacious. You've got pull-up sunshades at the side, like so, and this gorgeous creamy white interior. And as if to demonstrate the position, David, just jump in the back. That's easier to get in. The headroom's easier. David, look at the knee room. And those seats are roughly in the same position, roughly. This has got a slightly darker interior. Again, we've still got the privacy glass, plus we've got the side. And you've got seat heating in the back too. Remember, this is the 2023 version, so it's had a few updates, namely the digital mirrors. Personally, I think that looks absolutely dreadful. Audi have that in the door. I think this TV screen stuck on the door it looks pretty horrible, but it is nice and big and very, very clear. The biggest innovation in this is because this has a flat floor, you've got space down here for bags and a console. The floor's flat. There's a bag spot under here in the center console. In the GV70, that's not the case. And you've got this lovely design here. You'll see how different that is in the other car. While we're here, I know I've got the air conditioning on and it's zhuzhing quite a bit, but in this climate setting, this is where you'll find some of the smartest settings in the Hyundai Group. And that is, it will auto dehumidify, and there's smart ventilation, steering wheel heating automatically, and steering wheel ventilation. So if I turn all that on, the climate control will take care of everything for us. And so if you're starting to go into a tunnel, it turns off the outside air. If it's a really hot day, what's warmish today, it's going to turn on the seat cooling. Isn't that genius? An activation on washer fluid so you don't get any chemical smell in your schnoz. Isn't that genius? So in front of me I can see a lovely wide heads-up display, which we've already discussed. Okay, no, we've done something wrong. What have I done?
After recharging, is the
No,
is one of the doors opened?
One of the doors is open. So I'd like this to be adjustable, because that one's easier for me to see than this one.
Now, the interesting thing is, we hopped in it, drove around, amazed by the performance, and realised we're in eco mode. And if you go into sport,
wow,
it gets even better.
Well, I'm in sport now, and you can see the dash has changed. I can tell you, after driving around in the Genesis for a week, that this is quite different. It's quite a different feel. It's far more engaged with the road if an electric car can be engaged with the road.
I think that they can be. The only problem is under quite heavy wet weather, the low friction tyres can surprise you when they
get a bit of scampery do
when they scamper a bit. Yes.
Oh, see, I can't. I've just gotten into this. This is my first drive, and I haven't driven a car with electric side mirrors for a very long time, and I keep looking out at the camera instead of down at the screen.
Yes, indeed. It works better with the left one.
Now, over here, you might be able to notice, David, which I think you were just going to point out, that you've got the turn signal up, so you've got the same, basically the same view, but a slightly narrower view. Yep. So we'll go through the similarities first. Have regenerative braking, and you've got this currently set, David, to the second highest setting. No,
I've just got it set to auto to hold the right hand paddle for now.
There we go. So now I've got I pedal on. Now I'm going to turn, in this instance, okay, I've got all of the regenerative braking off, so I've now got my foot off the accelerator completely, and the car's continuing
coasting
on its merry way. Yep. The advantage to that is that on longer trips, let's just say you've got your full battery power and there's a lovely long hill coming up, it might be more to your advantage to coast down the hill and get a good zoom up the other side than it would be to put that charge back in, all of that charge back into the battery. Make sense?
Yes.
Well, I've got to tell you, I'm not noticing a huge amount of difference on the highway.
In terms of noise?
It's much less quiet. I can say that. It's well, noisier infers that it's noisy, where it's not. I don't want to give that impression.
Yes.
So if I say less quiet, it still means that it's quiet. It's just not as quiet.
Yes.
And thank you for picking it up. You know, this of course has all of the latest Hyundai, Genesis and Kia road attributes, active and safety things. So active lane warning, active lane guidance.
I felt the need to get used to it more than I have with other Hyundais. I like Hyundai's lane centering. I think it's very good. The only one that's...
Well, you see, but it's just that warning then was going too close to the lane, and I'm letting it do it.
It reminds you you're being a naughty boy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm being a naughty boy, but I mean, it's steering itself. I mean, it's putting it in the lane where it thinks it should go, then warning me that it shouldn't be there.
Well, it's like
That's
an adult.
a bit pedantic.
Really? Right? You're a naughty... It's like an adult getting angry at you for smoking when they themselves smoke. It's...
Where's the radio?
Yes, of course. Media. AM?
No. Good God, what? No. When have you ever heard me put AM? nearly had bloody AM radio in the car then, Dave. What are you thinking? AM
I'm thinking
radio.
words. I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, but they're words I don't want to hear.
Okay.
Because normally it's shock jocks and all of that sort of stuff.
No.
Well, David, I've just tested the sound on the radio. It was okay. I wouldn't write home about it.
It's not super light steering. It's got a little bit of effort. It's not that sort of very light and fluffy. Now, the dashboard doesn't have a digital speedo on it. But of course, it's the heads-up display that gives you the digital. Now, I'm pulling out here. Oh, I tell you what, that's got plenty. That's got plenty of power.
In 600 metres, speed camera ahead 80 kilometres per hour speed limit, and then red light and speed limit camera ahead 60 kilometres per hour speed limit.
Okay, I'm getting far too much information. I don't have time to go in and change it all, and of course I'm moving, so it would be dangerous. This very plush white leather sort of look, it's got a couple of things that are a flashback to me of cars of the past. Now I'm going on the M2, which has a lot of ridges to it. It's very smooth over that. But I'm getting what I think is road noise. Now the screen, as a backdrop of a cityscape, I thought it looked like dirty screen for a while. The heads-up display is pretty well what we got with the IONIQ5. I like the dial in the middle to be able to select the screen like a mouse. Some don't. I do.
This is much more luxurious than the IONIQ5. Much more. The other thing is I much prefer conventional mirrors. I much prefer. I just will never get used to those. That TV is at the wrong angle. And the active noise cancelling makes the cabin so quiet. I love the mood lighting. The sound system in this, not quite as good as I would have thought. It's good, but I just expected it to be a little bit better.
So after that, only you, the buyer, can decide whether or not you think 40,000 plus is worth all that extra luxury. It does have extra performance. So is the GV70 worth more? I think so. Hit like, leave a comment, and just on the little roundel to subscribe.